Before we begin, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications if you enjoy deep, emotional Hollywood stories that reveal what fame often hides. Your support helps keep stories like this alive, because some legacies are not defined by applause, but by silence. When Johnny Carson passed away in January 2005, the world expected noise. Instead, it received quiet. No cameras, no televised memorial, no grand farewell for the man who spoke to America almost every night for 3 decades. His death felt oddly private for someone who had shaped public life so completely. And as tributes poured in, as flowers appeared outside studios, one unspoken question lingered beneath the praise. Not who was there, but who was not. One absence echoed louder than any tribute, carrying decades of unresolved pain and unfinished words. Johnny Carson died on January 23, 2005, at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. He was 79 years old. The cause was respiratory failure, brought on by emphysema after years of heavy smoking. The announcement came quietly through his nephew, who made it clear that there would be no public memorial, no funeral service, and no gathering of Hollywood's elite. Johnny Carson's body was cremated, and his ashes were handed privately to his wife, Alexis Moss. That was it. For a man who defined American late-night television, the decision stunned the industry. There would be no stage, no microphone, no last laugh. Carson had spent his life mastering the art of public connection, yet in death, he chose total separation. It was the most Johnny Carson ending imaginable. Those closest to him were not surprised. Carson was famously guarded, emotionally distant, and uncomfortable with intimacy. Dick Cavett once said Carson was the most socially uneasy person he had ever known, a man who could command millions from behind a desk yet struggled in small rooms. Ed McMahon, who sat beside him for 30 years, once described him as completely relaxed in front of cameras and completely uneasy without them. That duality defined Carson's life. On television, he felt like family. Off-screen, he kept walls high and doors closed. In death, those walls remained. Fans created their own memorials outside NBC, while presidents and comedians offered words of praise. Yet among all the voices, one name kept resurfacing, not because she spoke, but because she had been silent for decades: Joan Rivers. Long before she became a red carpet assassin or a fearless cultural commentator, Joan Rivers was simply Joan Malinsky, a young woman from Brooklyn with dreams of becoming a serious actress. In the 1950s, she left home chasing Broadway, only to find rejection at every turn. Roles were scarce, money was non-existent, and desperation pushed her towards stand-up comedy, a world that had little patience for women. She performed in grim clubs, slept in her car, and worked temporary jobs just to stay afloat. Comedy wasn't her dream, but it became her lifeline. While male contemporaries slowly rose, Rivers struggled to be seen. Her early television appearances failed, including a disastrous Tonight Show set that nearly ended her career before it began. By the time Johnny Carson took over The Tonight Show in 1962, it had become the most powerful platform in comedy. Joan auditioned again and again, rejected repeatedly. She was in her early 30s, hearing whispers that she was already finished. Then in February 1965, everything changed. She wasn't booked as a featured comic, just a writer. But once she performed, Carson saw something undeniable: her timing, her honesty, her nerve. After her set, she sat on the couch, and Carson looked at her and said the sentence that would alter her life forever: "You're going to be a star." She thought he meant someone else. He didn't. From that moment, Joan Rivers was launched. Their on-screen chemistry became legendary. Carson was controlled, polished, and calm. Rivers was fast, fearless, and unfiltered. She talked about marriage, insecurity, motherhood, and aging in ways women had never been allowed to on television. Carson laughed harder with her than with almost anyone else. She appeared on the show nearly 100 times and became the only guest who could consistently knock him off balance. To the public, it looked like trust. It looked like mentorship. It looked like family. But behind the scenes, Carson remained distant. They rarely socialized. The warmth existed almost entirely under studio lights, and that illusion would later become heartbreak. As the years passed, Rivers' career exploded. Carson publicly endorsed her, even appearing on her daytime show. She became a regular guest host when he was away, eventually earning the permanent guest host position. To many viewers, she seemed like the natural heir to his throne. Offers came in from other networks, but Rivers turned them down, believing loyalty mattered. She believed Carson would protect her, but NBC did not see her the same way. When future successor lists leaked to the press, her name was missing. After nearly 20 years of service, she realized she might never be chosen, not because of talent, but because she was a woman. When Fox approached her with an unprecedented offer to host her own late-night show, Rivers faced the hardest decision of her life. The deal was historic, lucrative, and risky. Fear guided her silence. She told no one, not even Carson. She believed one phone call from him could destroy everything. But silence became betrayal. When the press leaked the news, she tried to call Carson. According to her, he hung up. According to him, she never called at all. Either way, the bond shattered instantly and permanently. Carson felt blindsided. In his mind, Rivers had broken the ultimate rule: loyalty. He responded with absolute finality. She was banned from The Tonight Show for life. No appearances, no forgiveness. The ban extended quietly through the industry. Appear on Joan Rivers' show and risk losing Carson forever. Fear did the rest. Guests disappeared. Affiliates refused to air her program. Ratings struggled. Fox demanded she fire her husband, Edgar Rosenberg, who was also her producer. She refused. Fox fired them both. 3 months later, Edgar Rosenberg died by suicide. Joan Rivers lost her husband, her partner, and her protector all at once. Carson never called. Not for condolences, not for closure. Nothing. Professionally exiled, financially devastated, emotionally shattered, Rivers described it as being sent into exile. Her daughter blamed her. Venues closed their doors. The industry moved on without her. What saved her was survival. Broadway gave her structure. Therapy gave her strength. She rebuilt her relationship with her daughter piece by piece. She reinvented herself through television, retail, and stand-up. She survived, but the wound never closed. Even after Carson retired, the ban remained. They never spoke again. When Carson died, there was no funeral, no reconciliation. Joan Rivers was not there, but her absence became the loudest presence of all. She later said one small act of kindness could have changed everything. One invitation, one joke, one moment of grace, but it never came. Their story ended without forgiveness, leaving behind one of the most painful silences in television history. And that silence still asks the same question today. Should Johnny Carson have forgiven Joan Rivers?